Hey guys, how's it going? If you click this video, then you're likely wondering one of two things. What is a fearsome critter, and why are you doing something that is non-fate related? Starting with the latter, I am always looking to expand my content beyond just one subject while keeping with the theme of informal edutainment. So, I wanted to tackle a subject I hold near and dear to my heart. Cryptids. Not just any cryptids, mind you. Fearsome critters. These are a subsection of monster that exists in the minds of the American outdoorsman and lumberjack, tall tales told to new members of the logging business and children of the Appalachian Mountains. They are critters that are somewhat uncanny, in that for a lot of them, if you told their tale to someone in earnest who was unaware that it was fake, they may just believe you. Well, sometimes. These tales would travel with lumberjacks as they moved from camp to camp. Thus, their infamy spread across the American continent. While some of these tales were told simply as a lark to pass the time, others served as an actual explanation for things, giving it an interesting parallel to myths of old. So I've decided to make an iceberg out of them. If you don't know what an iceberg list is, the basic concept is that at the top you'll have knowledge that is fairly well known, and as you descend the iceberg, the information gets more and more obscure. I tried to find a list specific for fearsome critters and couldn't, so I made this one using entrants from the Fearsome Critters Wikipedia, and a couple that I myself am familiar with. This is by no means a definitive list of all of the fearsome critters that exist, because there's a website called fearsomecritters.org which lists over 337 critters at the time of writing this. So, I don't have the time to dedicate to creating a list that long, let alone a video, but if someone else wants to make a longer one and send it to me, I may give a deeper dive into it, depending on how this video does. Alright, that's enough nonsense, let's go. At the top of this list is the poster child of cryptozoology, Bigfoot. Hardly needing an introduction, Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, is a large bipedal ape that is said to skulk about in the woods of North America and other places around the entire globe. Oftentimes spotted by lone travelers, hunters, and campers, Bigfoot is known for his, well, big feet. Dating back to pre-European influence in America, Bigfoot was seen as something of a wise old man of the mountains by some of the indigenous people, and something akin to a forest spirit. Most often seen alone, it is speculated that they are solitary creatures primarily, but in some cases will form families if they have young. Though oftentimes they are not described as being aggressive, there are cases of them attacking and sometimes even killing people. For the most part, though, they remain as the elusive ape men of America, following the age-old adage of leave only footprints. The Jersey Devil is one of the funniest and most terrifying fearsome critters in that its origins are steeped in real-world history, with a famous figure at the heart of it. The Jersey Devil, also known as the Leeds Devil, is a chimeric creature with a horse's head, bat-like wings, goat legs, and horns, and a ferocious temperament. Allegedly born from a person known as Mother Leeds, after a long life of childbirth, as she was about to give birth to her 13th child, she proclaimed, "Let this one be a devil." And so it was. The child she then gave birth to transformed into a ferocious monster and killed its mother and all those present before flying up the chimney, where it wanders the Pine Barrens of New Jersey to this day. Now, the likely real origin of this one comes from what is essentially ye olde social media drama. There was a man named Daniel Leeds who had a popular almanac at the time that had a direct rival with that of Benjamin Franklin's Poor Will's Almanac, though through his influence on writing in his almanac, he would declare that Daniel Leeds was a devil, which at the time was a big deal. From that and constant harassment from the founding father, the legend that the Leeds family had actually produced a devil grew. This even continued on past Daniel Leeds into his son Titan Leeds. Funny enough, though, is that even to this day, people in New Jersey claim to see the thing, though whether they say it for clout or honesty is to be questioned. If you're from New Jersey, tell me your Jersey Devil stories in the comments below. The jackalope, also known as the jackrabbit, is a fairly simple creature to wrap your head around. It's merely a rabbit with antlers. This is maybe my favorite critter because it's believable to a degree. Primarily seen in the American West, the jackalope is a truly dangerous animal. It is quick of foot and sharp of horn, and so brutal that it was advised the hunters of the creature wear stovepipes on their legs to prevent being gored. While difficult, it is possible to domesticate them, as you can purchase jackalope milk, though even popular sources of news such as the New York Times call its authenticity into question, as many know that milking a jackalope comes with great risks of bodily harm. Though, if you are so inclined to try and catch and domesticate them, the best way to bait them is with a glass of whiskey, which is their drink of choice. They are also able to replicate human speech through mimicry, not unlike a lyrebird, and if you sing into the desert night, they will sing back in a tenor tone. The snipe is another critter I hold near and dear to my heart, as in my youth I was a member of many a snipe hunt. The snipe is a type of bird, not to be confused with the snipe, also a type of bird. The snipe is a dangerous creature whose description changes from source to source, so I will tell you the one that was common in the area in which I lived. They are a small nocturnal creature that lets out a cry similar to a cricket, owl, and a raccoon all at the same time. They have a long, sharp beak that can easily pierce through skin and specifically go for the hands, nose, and eyes of people if it feels threatened. But if you catch one, they sell for a pretty penny due to how dangerous they are. You can attract them by whistling the tune Yankee Doodle Dandy. When I was just a mere kid, I cried during my first snipe hunt because I was so scared of the thing. Lo and behold, we didn't find one. The point of the snipe is to harass and haze uninitiated for the lark of it, and having taken students in snipe hunts before, it is very fun when you're not the one on the receiving end. Variations of this creature will differ wherever you are, so attempting to describe it is honestly a fool's errand. The hoop snake is exactly what it sounds like. It's a snake that bites its tail so it can roll along the ground like a wheel. This is far from an original concept existing in other cultures as well, such as the Japanese Tsuchinoko and the Ouroboros serpent. Likely sharing a similar origin of a traveler seeing a snake consuming itself, this creature is easily explained away. Or is it? This is one of those critters that people claim to see even today, and conceptually isn't ridiculous or outlandish. Now, as to why the hoop snake forms itself into a rope, that is because it can more easily pursue its prey that way. In some attestations, at just the right moment it will release the tail from its mouth and spring forward like a spear to gouge its prey with its venomous tail. The only way to avoid this is by hiding behind a tree, the venom being so potent that it will kill the tree instead. Our final entrant into the top tier is the Squonk. Now this one is fairly obscure to a degree, but in recent years due to how unusual and tragic of a creature it has gained a bit of a cult following. Said to live in the Pennsylvania hemlock forests, having migrated from the swamps and deserts of the regions of the west, the Squonk is a creature often depicted similarly to a boar, with skin that is too big for its body that's covered in moles and warts, giving it a look of a sad pile of fleshy sheets. Because of this appearance, the Squonk is never happy, lamenting its fate of being a squonk, and thus it cries. Tracking a squonk is made easy because of this, as they never stop crying. If a squonk is cornered and unable to run away, it will cry so hard that its body will dissolve into tears, making capture impossible. The reason that this creature is so popular can be summed up in one image. On to the second tier, we're going to start with the creature known as the Hide-Behind. This is a creature that has no description, and for good reason. As the name would suggest, if it is ever attempted to be observed, it will hide behind an object. Though initially described as a large, powerful animal, this is likely just speculation, given that it is able to dispatch its favorite prey, humans. Once caught, it would drag its victim to its cave where it would rip out their intestines to eat them. The best way to avoid a fate like this was to be drunk or to carry alcohol with you because the creature hated it. The origins of this creature lie in a few places, but chief among them was that sometimes loggers just didn't come back from work. It wasn't uncommon for a man to venture out one day to do his logging job and then never return with no trace of what happened to him. So, their fellow loggers would come up with a justification for it by blaming it on mythical creatures. It would also be used as a way of placing origins to the various mysterious sounds that were often heard in the woods. The Agropelter is a fairly self-explanatory name. This creature lives in the tops of trees and is incredibly aggressive. Described as being ape-like but smaller than Bigfoot, they were said to have extreme precision with their throws, to the point that if you were targeted, you would most likely be killed. They subsist on a diet of woodpeckers and small mammals, with a sprinkling of rotten wood added in. If loggers were to be killed by a branch falling from a tree, the blame would be placed on the Agropelter. The fur-bearing trout is a trout that grows a thick white layer of fur to keep it warm in the winter. Found in the Arkansas River, these fish were prized for their fine rabbit-like pelts. Said to originate from 4 jugs or 2 bottles of hair tonic being spilled into the river, the addition of fur was seen as a welcome one for the trout. However, if you catch one, the pressure change of them being removed from the cold water will cause an imbalance in the fish, leading it to explode into 2 separate pieces, one with the fur and skin attached and the other with the rest of the fish. In a different telling, you could easily catch the fish by acting as a barber at the shoreline, offering cheap or free trims, which the trout would agree to. But if you do choose to fish for them the old-fashioned way, they are protected under a strict catch-and-release program, and you could only take one home if they match your shoe size, so you could make the fur into slippers. This was enforced by park rangers carrying Brannock devices, which are these. Keeping with the fishy theme, we have the Upland Trout. This is a trout that makes its nest out of the water rather than in it, and was very skilled at flying. They can be seen nesting in their homes, which are reminiscent of eagles' nests. The Hangdown is an animal similar to a sloth, but not given any real physical description. It is attested to hanging upside down from tree branches and is described as utterly foolish. While little is known about it, the pelt of such a creature fetched a relatively high price, and as a result, they would often be hunted. The method in which you would hunt a Hangdown is by placing a tub over it, followed by killing it with an axe. So, if you're ever out in the woods just doing your logging job, be on the lookout for one, because it may be an easy way to make some money. The ball-tailed cat is an animal similar to a mountain lion, but with the large, heavy ball-like growth on its tail, which was also exceptionally longer than their cougar cousins. They would use these tails as a weapon for hunting and could easily knock large prey unconscious with just a single swipe. Some variations of the creature even attest that the ball protrusions had spikes emerging from within them, though this seems rather fantastical and is very unlikely. The Goofus Bird, yes, that's what it's called, is a large bird with a turkey-like head, a green neck, one black and one pink wing, with a silver scaly body. What is remarkable about this creature is that it flies backwards, because it cares not for where it is going, only where it has been. It also builds its nests upside down, which seems to be pretty effective for them. Our final entrant from the second stage is the Splinter Cat. This is a large cat-like creature that can be found in the Pacific Northwest. A nocturnal animal, it hunts for its prey by bashing its head into trees, shattering the bark and loosening branches until all that remains is a barren singular trunk, with splinters all around it. It does this to get at raccoons and other small mammals that live in trees, which it eats. However, given that the creature doesn't have an exceptionally specialized head for the job, it is left with a constant headache and a foul mood as a result, so it is advised not to go near them. On to the third tier, we're beginning to get more obscure ones. Let's start with the joint snake. Seen as a symbol in the minds of the early Americans for unity, the joint snake was a snake that was capable of separating parts of itself to escape prey. However, after doing so, it could reassemble itself into one full snake again. In fact, if one was to put something between the segmentations as the snake was beginning to reform, the object placed there would become a part of the snake. The Wampus Cat, or Wampus Cat, I'm not quite sure which, is a six-legged cougar said to be partially amphibious and living in the American West. It is said to have ghostly green eyes and whines loudly at the outskirts of camps. It has its origins in Cherokee legend, being a woman who was transformed into a beast after she hid under a large cat pelt and witnessed a sacred ritual. As a result, she became cursed by the village elders to become the creature, where she now serves as school mascots across the West. The JACKALOPE bird is known as one of the only birds to lay square eggs with black speckled dots on them. The reason why the eggs are square was for an evolutionary advantage, allowing them to lay eggs on the side of mountains without them rolling down. The reason why they would do this is because the JACKALOPE bird requires cold for the incubation of their eggs rather than heat. Thus, when it snowed, they would lay their eggs on snowy mountaintops. Despite this being the natural shape of the eggs, it is an incredibly painful process to lay them, and you can find a JACKALOPE bird laying its eggs by tracking an incredibly pained sound followed by a sharp sound of relief. The Hodag is my favorite thing in the world. It is a moose-like creature that roams around the areas of Minnesota and Wisconsin. While the same size and basic shape of a moose, it differs greatly in certain aspects. For one, its legs have no joints. This makes it so that the creature had to remain on its feet at all times, as falling over meant that it could not get up. It has a massive upper lip that prevents it from grazing properly and no hair on its leathery back and head. It has unusually floppy ears and four-toed feet like a cat. It has a tail that is long and shaggy and a thick coat of fur. If the creature ever wants to rest, it has to prop itself against a tree, making capture pretty easy if you have pre-notches as a place. It subsists on a diet of bark, twigs, and pine cones, and some accounts claim that it eats exclusively pine knots, which cause the creature to ooze pine sap constantly. The Cactus Cat is a cat that has an appearance similar to a bobcat that lives in the desert, with the key difference being that it has long, sharp spines on its legs and tail, which it uses to open up cactuses in order to drink from them. However, it doesn't just drink the juice. It allows it to ferment first, that way it can get drunk on the juices later. During the day, it will hide inside of a cactus and eat the bugs and rodents found within. During the mating season, a male will cut open a saguaro cactus and allow its juices to ferment, which will attract mates. Females then battle to the death for the male, and the winner gets to get drunk on the juices and mates, producing a litter of kittens. They are said to mate for life and live to be about 20 to 30 years old on average. A teakettle is a rodent that looks like a stubby-legged dog with the ears of a cat. Getting this description came with a great deal of trouble, as the creatures are incredibly shy and do not like to be seen. However, they are a very noisy animal, emitting a sound similar to that of a finished teakettle. They are also able to produce steam from the mouths as well, and only walk backwards. Our final member of the third level is the Axhandle Hound. This is a dog whose body has taken the shape of an axe. It has a slender torso and a sharp wood-colored appendages, with a head that is very reminiscent of an axe head. The creature is nocturnal and subsists itself entirely on the handles of axes. This critter has led to no shortage of headaches for the loggers that it preyed upon. Finally, onto the most obscure fearsome critters for this list. The glaucus was a massive creature seen in 1939 in Glastonbury, Connecticut. It had a cry similar to that of a hyena and appeared as some mixture of panther, bear, and dog. It was believed to be a blind creature that relied on echolocation to navigate and hunt. This creature had a variety of real-life reports from people as animals began disappearing from local farms. Initially, it was said to be a big cat, then a cat with a dog's hind end, and then vice versa. In reality, it sounds like a hyena may have accidentally escaped from a zoologist or collector at the time, and it was causing havoc. The other notable features of the beast were its eyes, which glowed like burning hot coals, and staring into them had the ability to cause one to lose their memories of the encounter. It has received its very comical name as a compound of the town, Glastonbury, the word wacky, and the suffix us to make it Latin. The Sidehill Gouger, I think it's Gouger like cougar, is an animal that is adapted to climbing up steep cliff sides by having the legs on one side of its body be longer than the ones on the other. As such, they can only move in one direction according to which leg is the longer one. Thus, if a clockwise Gouger encounters a counterclockwise Gouger on a cliff, they must fight to the death to see who can continue. This may simply be done by knocking one off of their hill, as it is nearly impossible for them to get back up it, and they will run around in a circle until they are exhausted before dying. Their spiraling climbing motion is said to be how hoodoos are formed. They are a type of mammal who happen to lay eggs, generally up to 8 pups in a litter. Funny enough, it is believed that these creatures originated in New England but migrated west by having two of opposing limbs cling to each other like a couple of drunks attempting to make their way home. Thus, the Gouger came to the west. The Hodag is another creature out of Wisconsin, said to be the incarnation of an abused oxen's pent-up aggression from a lifetime of abuse. This creature is described as a bull-like critter with large horns and spikes protruding from its back. It was a demonic-looking thing, and supposedly after a posse was made to get the beast, it required dynamite to finish it off. The charred remains of the creature, what you're looking at right now, as a photograph of the creature was indeed taken. The Gumbaroo is a fat, hairless creature that resembles a black bear with two outstanding features. They have massive, bushy eyebrows and are impervious to bullets. These creatures are nearly indestructible but have one major weakness. If they come into contact with fire, they will explode. It is believed that these critters are so rare because of the prevalence of forest fires in their habitat. It is a massive creature with a massive appetite, never feeling full and willing to eat anything that it deems suitable to be food. However, it is not a quick creature and thus relatively gentle. Our final critter for the day, and the one I would argue is the most obscure, is the Dungaven hooter. Out in the marshlands between Maine and Michigan, there lives a beast that appears crocodilian in origin. However, rather than a large toothy smile, the critter has no mouth at all, but a large nostril instead. This creature would lie in wait for its prey, which included lumberjacks, and then at the right moment leap out and knock it over. It would then smash the prey into a fine vapor or powder, and then inhale them through their massive nostril. It has a special taste for those that are drunk, as it is thought that the beast prefers those fumes. And that is the fearsome critters I have for you today. I think that for the majority of these, it's very obvious where the origins come from, and for the most part, done out of good fun for the lumberjacks. If you like this video and want to see me do more like it, let me know down in the comments. Do all the YouTube stuff. Check out my Twitch down below, as well as my Discord and Twitter. But for now, keep your chin up. Peace.